So, hi everyone, hope the lunch was great. I'm glad so many choose to go to this session. I think it will be a great success, as we say. The title is Turning User Needs into Smash Hits, and me and Tina, she's sitting there. Soon we're going to talk about a big Swedish success, a music success called P300. But we're going to start with Anders Steger, a big Danish success, the podcast Tyran, as you can see behind me, where P3 has captivated listeners with its podcast exploring the lives of the people who made this world a little bit darker, right, Anders?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why did you do a podcast of these dark people?
I started this job about 2 years ago, and when I started, there was a project in development called New Podcast About Gaming, and I got really angry because I thought it was really, really stupid. There was some executive that has seen a slide that said young men are gaming a lot, so we should do a podcast about gaming. And what made me angry was what happens in the brain when you're gaming is you're imagining that you're killing people. So we should do a podcast about killing people, because what happens in the brain when you listen to a podcast is you imagine you're a part of the story. That's just simply what happens in the brain. So yeah, so that's why we would do that.
Okay.
Instead.
So let's talk about this podcast about people who kill other people.
Yeah.
Okay, go on, Anders. Big hand for him.
So this we launched it last year in January, and it quite quickly became the third biggest podcast in Denmark of the weekly podcasts. And the funny thing is, I knew that would happen. I knew that would be a huge success because it checks all the boxes of user needs. And I'll get to that, but just a little bit about how I came up with the idea. And it's actually, this is me on the left in 9th grade, the skinhead, obviously. I don't know why. And these are all the boys from my 9th grade. And in 9th grade, you kind of do a project, like a big 9th grade project in Denmark. And this guy did something about the Ku Klux Klan. This guy, well, I don't quite remember his project, but all he did in his spare time was play Counter-Strike, especially with that weapon. So he named him actually AV Peter, because the weapon is called AVP. And this guy did a project about Pol Pot, and I did a project about how the Nazis exploited Nietzsche to tell their story. So that has stuck with me ever since. Why did all these boys, and I talked to so many, have this fascination with evil? So obviously we should do something about that. And one of the first seasons was about Pol Pot, of course. And here's just for you to get a kind of this is the trailer for the podcast.
Saddam Hussein, Mussolini, Pol Pot, Adolf Hitler. Du kender navnene, og du har ikke lyst til at lære dem bedre at kende. Men det skal du. Og der er det jo altid en god idé at kigge lidt på barndommen. Alle de traumer og syge ting, som kan få små, søde børn til en dag at blive til nogle rigtig ubehagelige voksne.
Hør P3's Tyran. Nu i DR-lyd.
Yeah, so a bit about the concept. It's coming-of-age stories, but usually coming-of-age stories are positive. This is coming-of-age stories of people who made the world a lot worse. It's always told from the perspective of the tyrant. So if Idi Amin escapes prison, we say he's lucky. We don't say his people are very unfortunate. And we use only a single narrator. And a lot of people have asked, why don't you use experts? And the answer is experts are boring. They're bad storytellers. They're academia. So if we have a single narrator, we can control the story a lot better and tell it the way we want it and make it more exciting. And we do one season per Tyrant, so it's approximately 4 to 6. Hitler's probably going to be a few more episodes, but we'll wait till 2027 with him. And then we do an original score for each Tyrant. So there's a music producer that makes music for each country. And that makes it kind of new every time a new season starts. Like, wow, what's the sound of this season? And then we use a lot of archive instead. So instead of the experts, we just we find old clips, and that kind of makes it real and it helps the narrator. And then we had this little thing. We try to make it funny. And that's a bit hard, but we have a few examples. Well, I have an example in the end of that. Just so you get kind of an idea, this is from the first episode of Saddam Hussein, who was the first season. This is about his childhood.
Stefan sørger for, at lille Saddam ikke kommer i skole. Og i stedet for, så tvinger han ham til at stjæle for sig. Sådan en privat børnetjener-tyv. Og når Stefan er i dårlig humør, så muntrer han sig selv op ved at ydmyge sin nye stedsøn. Og for eksempel slå ham med en pind med størknet asfalt i den ene ende, hvis Saddam ikke vil danse for ham. Oven i købet, så bliver Saddam drillet af de andre børn i landsbyen. Og han har ikke rigtig nogen venner. Til gengæld så har han altid en jernstang på sig. Noget at forsvare sig med. Og når han så en gang imellem får lyst til at hævne sig på den onde verden, han er havnet i, så varmer han jernstangen her op over et bål, og så lader han ellers sin indestængte vrede gå ud over små dyr, som han skærer over med det glødende metal. Han er en stakkels, forsømt og meget vred og afstumpet lille dreng.
Yeah, so this is kind of how the podcast feels. And the reason I said that I knew that it would be a success before is because I have a checklist. And I use this every time someone presents an idea to me and tells me about a project. I see how many of the boxes does it actually check. And the most important thing is, because podcast is a very intimate thing, you have them in the host, you have them in your ears. It's something you do at home. They have to be great company. They have to be someone you like. Most of you people probably know that. And then it has to, well, that's what the user says anyway. They want some sort of enlightenment from it. And I mean, you could say maybe it's knowledge, maybe it's, I'll try to find the right word, but they want to learn something. So I think enlightenment might be the best word for it. And then it has to be compelling. So when you start listening, you should have the feeling that you can't stop listening. So you have to really think about the storytelling, and even in podcasts with just two people talking, you have to make sure to say something that makes people stay for the whole thing. And then there's just something that's important to remember. People, and especially young people, use podcasts to get out of their own head. So it's nice to make a universe or something that you can escape into. And then it has to be habit forming. So you have to well, publish something every week on the same day and the same time, because we are, the second you don't come out with an episode, you will just spend a lot of time building back that audience. And then it has to be an easy to decode concept, because when you scroll your app, there are, I think Spotify just said there were 6.5 million podcasts on their app. So pretty hard to get into that and have people choose your podcasts instead of others. So make it so super easy to decode, and it has to be eye-catching as well. So Picture of a tyrant is a good idea. Celebrities. Well, the tyrant is a celebrity, I guess. It's a pretty bad one. It has to be eye-catching. So easy to decode and eye-catching, and then the way for the user to click is way shorter. And then it has to be slightly cool. And I think it's because the way people discover podcasts is, of course, via social media, but also from their friends. So if it's slightly cool, it's something you're proud of listening to. It's something you can, well, I'm listening to that podcast, did you hear that one? So if it's slightly cool, it makes it easier for people to recommend it to their friends. And the reason I knew that Tyran was going to be such a huge success is because it checks all the boxes, simply. And there are a lot of bosses that said, are you sure young people want to listen to a podcast about really old, dead men? And I fought that battle, and I was fortunately right. This is a typical retention rate of our episodes. They vary between 80 and 90% retention. We're pretty happy about that. So people really listen it through. And now what we're working on is actually, you see where it dives? That's when we start to say, on the next episode. So we stopped doing that, or we made a rule that if you say the next episode, it should be the last 3 words of the podcast. So we don't get that drop at the end. And people will say, well, they're just going to jump to the next. Yeah, they are, probably. But they're also picking up their phone. And when they pick up their phone, there might be a notification from Instagram or something else that would make them go elsewhere. So in order for us to have them binge everything, we try not to say that the episode has ended until the very end. That's what we kind of try and do, and sometimes stop just before the climax, like The Traitors. Hate that show, right? It's so annoying, but so effective as well, because you just jump to the next show. I'm a bit disappointed that it didn't go as young as we hoped, but I'm kind of satisfied because our age group is 15 to 31-year-olds. So we're pretty happy about that, and we knew that it would have like big impact also on other age groups. So now we're trying to market it a lot for the younger ones, but the truth is actually for that particular youngest part of the age group, they want something more simple, often less narrated. Just they want friends to hang out with. So that's why this one didn't go as young as we could have hoped, but we're still pretty happy about that result. And here you see some mistakes. So we launched it last year. That's the blue line, and it went great. And then in week, I think it was 20, or I think it was week 20. Yeah, we ran out of episodes because it's pretty hard to do a narrated show like that. So we obviously didn't invest enough in it in order to come out every week. And it took us a long time, and actually a big marketing campaign, to reach the highest level we did last year in, I think, November. So in all that time, we didn't publish, and that was quite a mistake. Now what we do is we do like an extra episode after each Tyrant. So there's like where the host talks to the researchers about all the things that didn't make the cut in the podcast, and we really dive into something extra, and that helps. That gives us an extra week per Tyrant. So now we can actually publish an episode every week. So that's pretty good. These numbers are in Denmark. So for most of you, you probably don't have any idea how much that would be in your own country. So I actually asked ChatGPT to say what the equivalent would be in other European countries. And the level we're at now is 200,000, a little bit more every week. So you can just see if you can find your country there. I know they're not all there. And when we peaked, that would be the equivalent for your country, just for you to get an idea of the size of it, because how would you know everything, right? I don't know, is that something is that a big thing in other countries? Would those numbers be great? Or is it, yeah, okay. I have no idea. Okay, and then, the funny thing is, because we did a single narrated show, it was the first time we actually found a reason for us, at least in my department, to work with other broadcasters. So we talked with NRK, and NRK actually made a Norwegian version of that. And after a week, it was number 5 in Norway. So it's really quite translatable, we found. There is a lot of work in it because the narrator has to be a bit personal in what he says, but you can actually translate it and make it work. So we share the costs, and that makes it a bit easier to do such a show. And just try to make it funny. One example is when Saddam Hussein, there's like demonstrations in the street, and we say that's really weird because he just won an election and he got 100% of the votes. So we try to kind of use sarcasm and to make it funny. And now I think we're 10 or 11 Tyrans in, and it's always pretty miserable. So sometimes we try to make it a little bit more funny, or start somewhere else, just so it doesn't feel the same way every time you listen to it. It's like a new season. Okay, how are they going to start it now? And the one that's out right now is Hirohito, the emperor of Japan, and during World War II. And it's a pretty tough story. So we wanted to start somewhere else, and have a listen to how we did it.
Og historien her er selvfølgelig også helt vild og pisse spændende, men ikke desto mindre fyldt med elendighed. Menneskeeksperimenter, nedslagtninger, atombomber. Og netop derfor, så synes jeg, at det sådan set ville være på sin plads, hvis vi bare for en gangs skyld kunne starte et sted, hvor der er lidt rart. Måske det rareste sted i verden, faktisk. Og du spørger,
hvor er det henne, der er så rart?
Og jeg svarer, det er da i Disneyland.
A world filled with excitement, imagination and happiness, where you can travel to the past, present or future without ever leaving the park.
Disneyland, september måned 1975. Det store, hvide Disney-slot stråler ud over den velfriserede park, hvor et lille sødt og rødt damplokomotiv tøffer rundt imellem alle de glade mennesker. Der er børn, som skriger henrygt, imens de hvirvler rundt i tekopperne, der lugter af candyfloss, og så er der en kæmpemæssig parade i gang med festlig musik og alle de kendte Disney-figurer, som render rundt og danser og hopper og vinker. Det var dejligt og skønt og sjovt og rart. Og midt i det her virvar af glæde og Disney-magi, der bliver en lille, gråhåret asiatisk mand med et nydeligt overskæg vist rundt i forlystelsesparken. Han er tydeligvis en vigtig herre, for hans guide er nemlig ingen ringere end Mickey Mouse. Eller, du ved, en, der er klædt ud som Mickey Mouse. Og de to spacerer sammen gennem Disneyland, og de kigger og peger og smiler og hygger sig. Men hvis man ved, hvem denne her gamle mand er, så er det her faktisk et super underligt øjeblik. Den gamle mands navn er Hirohito, og han er kejser af Japan. Og 35 år før det her besøg i Disneyland, der var han på ingen måde venner med Mickey Mouse. Der var han mere venner med Hitler. Og han var heller ikke en andre lande ville have besøg af. Og på det tidspunkt betød et besøg fra Japan lidt det samme som, at nu blev man invaderet og dræbt.
So that's it.
It is on. Okay, great. Now it's on. Thank you, Anders. You will be here after the session, right? If you have any questions to him. Now we're going to move from Denmark to another Scandinavian country over to my country, Sweden. I'm Kim. I work as a content developer at Swedish Radio, and I'm going to, together with Tina, take you with us to a project we've been working with. I'm going to start, like Anders did, with some private photos and a video. This is, yeah, you all feel the vibe, right? You've been there. A private party in September in Sweden. I was there. This is Eric, one of my best friends. But the one behind Eric is a girl I never met before. And she told me at this party about a list she have heard about, a list of the world's best songs ever. And she was a bit upset over the number one. And the thing is, she never listened to the list on P3 where we actually published it. She was listening to a podcast made from someone else. And they were also disappointed over the number one, which was Robin. So we were talking about that, and the rest of the people at the party found this topic kind of interesting. And it ended up with everyone at the party doing their top 3 lists and motivating number one. So that would keep on going for over an hour at the party. I was kind of happy because one of our goals was to start discussions about music in the society in connection with P3 as a channel. So we actually succeeded with that goal very much. So therefore, the example from this Malmö party, that was great. That's me over here. Look very cool, right? Short about P300, and we start with some clips.
Robin, Dancing on my own.
Skaka på rösten. Och jag tror att vi får så mycket mejl nu från folk som är såhär, jag sitter och gråter på kontoret, gåshud.
Elektriker på jour sitter och vrålar med i texten i bilen med ståpäls.
Är det världens bästa låt? Du skakar på huvudet här.
Nej, jag är kränkt. Alltså, jag tycker det här är jättekonstigt.
Den är country som påstås vara på uppgång. Syns inte i den här korrupta jävla pisslistan. Kämpa P3.
Jag applåderar att Robin kom etta på den här listan. Jag tycker att det var extremt välförtjänt. Och är det pinsamt? Nej, men kanske är det lite pinsamt att han yttrar sig om musik.
It was a big success for us. As I mentioned, we got external focus on P3. People were talking about P3, people were talking about music, not only on our own channels, also like on external platforms, in other podcasts and so on, and at parties in Malmö. Up 59% on social compared to the week before. 16% longer listening sessions. And up 12% when it comes to listening. So all the goals we set for this project, we fulfilled it, and even more. So a major success. We were kind of happy. So why did we do it? Well, P3 is a channel aimed at reaching music interests in Sweden. A channel where those who are like particularly interested in music should tune into. And we know there is a large group of people interested in this and who want like a forum for music. And P3 want to be that forum. We want people to come to P3 because of that. And since the relaunch of P3 2020, we have worked to clarify this new position for P3. And P300 was a project where we wanted to strengthen the awareness of P3's new position. So that's where we started. We wanted to meet the need that we knew were out there at people in Sweden to talk about and enjoy and discover music. We also conducted like a survey that indicated there was a space in Sweden for doing a list over the world's best music. As you all know, there is a lot of like international lists, but no list that actually do it from a Swedish perspective. And Sweden is like a big country when it comes to music. So many people are very interested in music. After some workshop, we developed this format, 300 songs from 1964 to 2024. 1964 was when like popularity music was the birth year of popularity music, but it was also the birth year of P3. We played a little bit with the name of P3 and came up with the name P300. We decided to publish for 3 weeks to keep on number 3. And our USP was the story around the music, as Tina will go on a deep dive into soon, because it was not just a list, it was like a story about the music on the list. That was like the main point of doing this 300. And here's top 10.
That I recall, I really don't know love. I really don't know love at all. Only want to see you underneath the burden. Honey, I know, times are changing. I'm giving it my all, but I'm not the guy you're taking home. Ooh, I keep dancing on my own. So far away, but still so near.
Banger. I love this song. Tina, you're going to take us with us to why music is so of a big interest topic in Sweden. First, a clip from when you and Emma, another presenter at P3, are talking about one of the songs at the list.
Men ingen vemodsbanger är kanske mörkare än plats 9. Det handlar om Silent Shout med The Knife. Vad säger du, vår musikexpert Tina Melafsson?
Ja, men den har ju ett väldigt dovt och mystiskt sound, det har den.
Varför är det här en av världens bästa låtar?
Ja, här måste jag liksom ta ett djupt andetag för att den här låten är så egen.
It is a truly unique song. If you haven't listened to it, please do. I should have worn a The Knife t-shirt instead of a Kite, but Kite is also one of my favorite bands. That's why I'm wearing that t-shirt today. They're not on the list, unfortunately. Even with 10 years of experience as a music journalist covering it, I found it difficult to articulate sometimes why a certain song is the best. I think it's because at its core, music and what we experience when we listen to music is emotional more than it's maybe scientific or facts in a way that it's very sort of numbers and such. But it was a fun challenge to do this, and it was a very good experience, and I'll go through. You talked about our USP, our unique selling point as P3. It is that we can actually tell stories about the music while, or even before or after, playing the songs. We can highlight, we can cut out, we can heighten, we can pitch, we can talk about the lyrics. That helps the listener to engage with the song, to get a connection to the song, to even put the song in a cultural context, in like society, because music, as much as you might think that pop music is like glitchy and not serious, it is a reflection of the time that we're actually living in. So I strongly believe that we as audio producers can heighten the pleasure of music by being passionate about it, because we have Emma is one of the hosts. We have several other hosts that are very passionate when they speak about the music as well. I used to be one of them. I'm now an expert and a reporter, so I work in a little different way now. Being passionate about this project, it sparks reaction. As we heard, we had this girl on the party who said she didn't agree with us at all. It wakes emotions, and it also starts conversation, and we saw that result when we published this list, P300, in its entirety. We'll get to the listeners' response and reactions shortly, but this man, Alex Schulman, he's one of the most famous media men in Sweden. he thought it was embarrassing that Robin's Dancing on My Own was selected the best song. Throw me in a boxing ring, and I can really argue for the fact that it is one of the world's best songs. I wouldn't say it is the one, because no one song can be the best. Remember, music is emotional. I do love, as much as I love Robin, it's not my number one. But what the song does, besides being the ultimate sad banger, is that it has a cultural impact in Sweden. Because, as you said, Kim, we are one of the biggest music exports in the world. We have this internationally renowned artist with a song that is chanted on the subways of New York. It is chanted at Roskilde, or Roskilde, maybe you say?
Roskilde.
Thank you very much. My Danish is not the greatest. I'm better at Swedish. The intro is recognized instantly. Of course, it makes a difference and an importance to us in Sweden, especially as music fans. And I dare say that Robin isn't at all embarrassed, because when we at P3, we have an annual award show, and we selected her. She was our P3 icon. She was the first one to be awarded this special award. And she was very humbled and grateful by that, actually. And Schulman wouldn't know, because he wasn't there. But I was there. I gave her the award. So I know that she was very happy about it. Another guy that is very famous, as men in media usually are, is Marcus Larsson. This guy, though, he gets it, because as you can read, he said, Curtis Mayfield, blah, 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 but then he says, if someone discovers Curtis, or even more than 245 people find their way to Burial's fantastic crackling and popping house, P300 will have achieved a great and educational purpose. Of course it is. We are guiding people to music history. Sure, 300 songs may not sound that much when we talk about music history, but also there's so many decades, there's so many genres, we're covering so much with just selecting these songs, and it wasn't just selecting them, it was a really, really tough job. His music heart, Marcus's, or whoever who was criticizing or engaging or having opinions about this list, they might not beat the same beats per minute as our hearts at P3 do, but at least we believe in it, we engage with, we're passionate about, we care about music. It's a big part of many of our lives, no matter if it's classical or pop or rock or whatever. And P300 made people, no matter if they were writing a pop culture column or not, made people discuss music with their hearts for real in a really, really long time. That the people had not done this, not even in like our culture debate pages or whatever. It didn't feel like music. I haven't felt that music have been sort of taking that seriously ever until this list. Group of friends would argue about their favorite songs over pints and bars. They would do that. I would get DMs. Good Lord, I got DMs from young people, young parents, older people. I got emails from not necessarily P3 listeners even. And so if you weren't even on the same page of whatever placement a song would be, it still, people tuned in to hear us, to talk about the different placements, the different songs. It's too much of Håkan Hellström. Only the Swedish people know who he is. Never mind. He sings like a crow, but he's the biggest anyway. Or there's too little of reggae. Yeah, sure, I'm with you. I believe in that. But so it was engaging. It was really engaging. So, okay, what did we do with all the engagement? We had fun with our listeners.
Robin dancing on my own.
Robin dancing by my own.
Robin dancing on my own. Prince, Purple Rain.
Prince, Purple Rain.
Van Halen. Var det det? Nej, okej.
Rose and flows of angel.
Inte en aning.
Nej, jag har ingen aning.
And ice cream.
Celine Dion. I don't know.
So we had fun with them. I mean, presenting was one thing, the interactions was another thing, the DMs, the emails, the whatevers. But then we also go out to festivals where we actually meet our audiences. And so, because we broadcast from it. And there we had fun with our listeners doing this kind of guessing game. And as well, some people were better than others. Some people tried. But that also has an effect, having fun with them, because suddenly maybe they discovered Joni Mitchell's Both Sides Now, which is an amazing song. So you get it, you face it. We are very passionate about music. We made this project, and successfully, thankfully enough, it was a smash hit. So bring your heart into it. That's the easiest thing and takeaway that I can give to you.
Great. And Tina, I guess you're kind of interested now. What's the best song if Tina should choose one?
Yeah.
Because you said Robin is not.
You have that question.
You have that question,
Yes.
so that's
So
your
you have that
question, not my question. What was your number
Ladies
one?
and gentlemen, maybe even non-binaries over here, get ready.
Well, first, was it hard to find, like, to choose?
Yeah, I had to choose my
very
own
best
first,
song?
and then it was a whole process of, everyone's different ratings were put together, blah, 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 whatever. But my number one is one of music history's absolute sexiest and maybe even quirkiest songs, because it's so funky, but it doesn't even have one single bass note in it. Could you believe a funky song doesn't have a bass note in it? Do any of you know which song it is?
Should we do a quiz? A quick quiz?
No one knows. Maybe someone in the back. Anyway, it's a Prince song. No? Play it. Ah, good one! Well done. Yes, Prince When Doves Cry. My number one! It's all right if you want to stand up and dance. No?
Was it on the list?
Shy.
Is it on the list?
When Doves Cry is on the list, but I have forgot the placement.
I didn't prepare you for that
I
one.
did send an angry... No, I'm just
Ah,
joking.
okay.
I did not send it.
So Tina was actually one of the ones voting, right?
Yes.
But we invited artists, people who own
Promoters,
clubs, music influencers, and of course listeners. So it was kind of a list created by the music industry and music specialists in Sweden, together with the listeners, and that ended up in 300 songs. And everyone had a chance to vote for their 30 best songs ever. A hard mission.
Oh, it was the sweatiest job I've ever done. And I've done a lot of sweaty jobs.
Yeah. I guess time's out, right? Yeah, he's looking at me. So we will stay here if you have any questions. Thank you very much for coming to this session.
Thank you.